Welcome in to the Chicago Toddcast. This is episode 3, and today we're going to be getting into some more White Sox talk, just going through what the White Sox did in a very, very tough June. It's the toughest month of their season, and we're going to be getting into just what their statistics look like, how did they rank among the rest of the MLB in June. Kyle Teal's back, so we'll get into that a little bit. And yeah, what's coming up next for the White Sox? We'll go through their schedule, what I predict to happen. I'm recording this on June 27th, so last night, June 26th, was the 22-1 Royals game, which was just an utter beatdown by the White Sox. So many guys had home runs. Kyle Teal had a homer. Jacob Gonzalez, Andrew Benintendi, Miguel Vargas. Mike Vassell called that. Magic Mike, I think they're calling him. So that's fun that he's got that wand going on and stuff like that. But yeah, let's get into it. So since June 1st, I got some notes here with me. But all this is from Fangraphs.com. I think it's the best stats website for comparing teams and comparing players. I think Baseball Reference is probably the best for just if you're looking up raw player stats. I believe that Baseball Reference is probably the best for that. But Fangraphs is really good if you want to compare, if you want to look back over a date range for team statistics. It's really good for that. And I think it's got a decent amount of data exports that you can do if you're into that side of baseball analytics. You can become a member on there. By no means am I sponsored by Fangraphs, though it may sound like it. But so since June 1st, the White Sox are 10-11 in 21 games, and they've got 4 games left. They've got 2 against the Royals and then 2 against the Orioles. And so 10-11, you may think, okay, that's not great to be around 500. But for this White Sox team, it's quite amazing. And I've talked about it on previous episodes, but I mean, you played 2 of the best teams in baseball in the Braves and the Dodgers. And then you played the Yankees in New York. You got that series out of the way. And then you played a pretty hot Tigers team, a very talented Tigers team, where you got swept and the bullpen had some problems, especially in that third and final game, with Sir Anthony Dominguez coming in and Grant Taylor both giving up runs in the 8th and 9th innings and couldn't get it done. But 10-11 against that team, I'm happy with that. I'd like to see them finish above 500 with these next 4 games. With them only being 1 game under 500 in June, being 10-11, I think they are more than capable of taking this series from the Royals, and hopefully they win later today. I'm recording this on Saturday. And then you got 2 against the Orioles to finish out June. And I think you can take at least one of those 2, if not both of them, and be in a really good spot going into July. In June, the White Sox are 12th in batting average amongst all teams in the MLB, so they're still above the average 15 or middle of the pack at 15. And they're 4th in slugging percentage, which if you've watched any of the White Sox games, and if you haven't and you're tuning in here to get your updates, the White Sox hit a ton of home runs. They hit a ton of extra base hits. And so in the toughest month of the season, for the White Sox to be 4th in slugging, facing the best pitching staffs and some of the best pitchers in the MLB in June, it's pretty amazing, especially when this team wasn't projected to do anything At the beginning of the year, they were projected one of the worst teams. We all know the story. The White Sox, they were talking about it on the broadcast last night. Are the White Sox, John Triffin and Steve Stone were talking about it, are the White Sox the best story in baseball? And I think undoubtedly they are. And the reason I say that is just because the expectations weren't there. You've had, I think it's right now, it's 12 guys make their MLB debuts, and all 12 of those guys are contributing. You think about Sam Antonacci, you think about Jacob Gonzalez, Braden Montgomery, all these guys that are just, heck, I'll even throw in Tristan Peters in there. And we'll get into it a little later, but the guy's hitting 280 for a center fielder that you didn't expect to get anything out of. He's third on the team in WAR. Wins above replacement, that is. And so it's quite amazing for a team in June to go up against some of the hardest teams in baseball and be fourth in slugging. And as a team WAR, they're fifth in WAR offensively. So really good stuff from the White Sox. They're in a tough month. And even though their record's not showing it, this team fights. I saw a stat on the broadcast last night where I think they're one of only two teams. It might have been the Braves was the other team that hasn't lost more than 3 games in a row this whole season. So they are not getting down on themselves. They're fighting, continuing to fight late in ball games. Even the last game against the Guardians was amazing. I went to the golf course to chip and putt in the 8th inning. I said, the Sox aren't doing anything here. I'll go do something else, get active at the golf course. And little did I know, I look at the MLB app and I just see, oh my gosh, they did it again. And they hit back-to-back home runs. Braden Montgomery, Randall Grichuk in the 9th inning to tie up the Guardians, force extras, and it looked like they were going to win the game in the bottom of the 10th. They had bases loaded, 1 out, and they just couldn't get it done. Chase Mydroth grounds out to the third baseman in a fielder's choice to home, and just ultimately, and then a weak ground ball. Who hit that? I don't. I think it was Sam. Was it Sam Antonacci? I don't know, but a weak ground ball to the first base side, and White Sox couldn't get it done against the Guardians. But with that being said, to take that series from the Guardians, and it's great. The White Sox are 1 up in the division as it stands right now. They're sitting at 42-38, 4 games above 500. I don't know if I said it in the first episode, but I think I was telling some of my buddies that if the White Sox are at 500 by the All-Star break, I'll be happy. And they're looking well on pace to be that, if not a few games above 500. And I hope they can just continue to carry this momentum into the All-Star break. And then once the All-Star break hits, keep it going after the All-Star break, which brings me to another point. Miguel Vargas should be starting for the American League team at third base. I don't think he was even voted as a top 2 third baseman amongst fans. Miguel Vargas is extremely underrated. He leads the team in WAR at 2.7. I believe he leads all of third basemen in home runs with, I think he's at 18 now. But undoubtedly, Miguel Vargas should be starting the All-Star game at third base for the American League. It's kind of a shame how underrated he is, but it is what it is. You can't really control that. And yeah, I just hope he continues this success. I think he's already got more home runs than he had in any previous season just this year. So he's got his season total record in home runs for himself, which is great to see. And just another thing, too, I saw it on Twitter. Someone tweeted it, and I apologize for not knowing who tweeted it, but just how hard this team plays. In that game last night, it was 22-1, just a beatdown. And this team plays hard, and Will Venable manages. He manages in a way that is resilient. I mean, there was a challenge last night when the Sox were up 22-1, and it's because he knew he wanted to. They said it on the broadcast. They wanted to reward Miguel Vargas with another RBI, and I mean, just managing like that in a game that seemingly is way over, so late in a ball game, and still challenging it, still taking time to make sure the details are right. It's truly a joy to watch. This team plays hard. They on that same play where Will Venable challenged it, Miguel Vargas hustled out a potential inning-ending double play and ended up getting another run for the Sox. So you got to reward guys like that, and they play hard. They run everything out. I remember a couple of years ago, everyone was so down on Luis Robert for not hustling down the first baseline. That isn't even a thought process anymore. To think guys are jogging. I mean, look at how it's crazy to say. It is crazy to say, but look at how far we've come since Luis Robert. Look at Tristan Peters, man. That man hustles. He's a ball player, and you'd think I was crazy for saying something like that at the beginning of the year, but I mean, I think every White Sox fan would agree with me that we're more comfortable with center field than we've been over the last 4 years. And Luis Robert was our best player in those last 4 years. So it's crazy to watch this unfold, and it's just made this summer so enjoyable. Coming home from work, I just started a new job, and just coming home from work and being able to watch a White Sox team that plays tough every night, day in and day out. They do the right things. Has been a blast. It's really getting me through until the Chicago Bears start. But no, like I said earlier, just going through some notes here. Sox won 22-1 last night in a just beatdown of a game. Sandlin had a really nice start. They are 5th in OPS amongst all teams so far this year. If you don't know, OPS stands for on base plus slugging percentage. This is probably the most accurate stat when you're looking at a baseball team's offensive production, because it factors in batting average, it factors in slugging percentage, which is important because you're assigning a value to the types of hits. So like a double's worth more than a single, home run's worth more than a triple. You get the point. And so they're 5th in OPS amongst all MLB teams, and they're 2nd in home runs. Just some truly amazing stuff. 2nd in home runs. If you told any White Sox fan that at the beginning of the year, they'd think you're crazy. They'd laugh in your face, and yeah. But where is there opportunity for the White Sox? It's definitely on the pitching side of the ball. Their starting pitching is 14th in ERA amongst starting pitchers in the MLB, and then they're 16th in ERA for their bullpen, and their bullpen has really been performing poorly over the last month or so. I mean, Grant Taylor's not as dominant as he was at the beginning of the year. Sir Anthony Dominguez is not the guy you thought you were getting when you signed him. They do have a lot of lefties. in the bullpen and a lot of options, but they really need to make some moves at the trade deadline. Whether that's going out and getting like an Aroldis Chapman or someone who can close down a game and has experience doing it, you're still a little uneasy about the White Sox late in games in terms of pitching. Offensively, they've been able to bail out the pitching side of the ball quite a bit, and you saw it against Cleveland. I think it was in Game 1 where Sir Anthony Dominguez blew the game in the ninth. Sam Antonacci ends up hitting a walk-off 2-out single to win the game and bail out the pitching side of the ball. But the Sox, if they're really going to go for this, need to improve the pitching side of the ball. And so I hope they do that. I think personally, it's been the age-old question that every White Sox fan has been asking: should the White Sox be aggressive at the trade deadline, or should they be sellers? And I'm under the impression that they should be aggressive. I've heard it time and time again from multiple people, but these opportunities don't come around a lot where I said it earlier, where you're second in home runs in the MLB, you're fifth in OPS. You need to be able to reward those offensive that offensive production by getting pitching at the trade deadline. Be aggressive. Go trade guys like Billy Carlson or some of these other guys down in the minors, and go get a high-end back of the bullpen arm or another high-end starter. I'm curious what the White Sox are going to do with Hagen Smith. But yeah, I hope they are aggressive at the trade deadline. I think that would be really, really the right thing to do, just with how good the offense has been. With that, just how fun is it to watch this White Sox baseball team? If it's a good pitching staff, if a team has a good pitching staff, they're fun to watch. But you really have to be a true baseball fan to love a good pitching staff. To watch a team that is just so explosive offensively is so incredibly fun. Anyone can appreciate it. Second in home runs. You see a lot of them when you tune into White Sox games. So they're just so dang fun to watch. Especially guys like Randall Grichuk. He's hitting 300 with 9 home runs and only 85 plate appearances. Like, how is that signing by Chris Getz? To find a guy that the Yankees didn't want, and he's come and made an immediate impact, whether it's be pinch hit home runs, absolutely clutch home runs like against the Guardians the other night to force extra innings, and he's hitting 300. He's hitting for average. Anytime there's a lefty reliever in or a lefty starter, he gets the go, it's a really, 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 really solid right-hand bat. We talked about it earlier, but Tristan Peters, too, is third on the team in WAR with a 2.1 WAR. This is a guy that was playing for the Savannah Bananas a few years ago. Now, granted, the Savannah Bananas, I think they were just a summer ball team when he was playing on them, and they weren't actually like the Savannah Bananas that they are now. But it's still just incredible how these guys that the White Sox have found have been producing day in and day out, and just to see how hard they play and how much fun they're having has been truly incredible. So I hope the White Sox can get it done tonight against the Royals. But if I pull up the schedule here, so on the 27th and 28th of June, we got the Royals to finish out that series. And then we play Baltimore in Baltimore to close out June. Going into the start of July and up until the All-Star break, you have the Orioles, and then you go to Cleveland. That's another big series. You play 4 against them. on the 2nd through the 5th of July. That's going to be arguably a huge momentum boost if you can at least take 2 of 4. If you could take 3 of 4 against the Guardians and really kind of build that lead in the AL Central, that'd be huge for the White Sox. I mean, absolutely huge for the White Sox if they can take 3 of 4 from the Guardians before the All-Star break. And then they come home for a homestand right before the All-Star break against Boston, who's been struggling, and then the Athletics. And then it's the All-Star break. So it's a tough stretch. It's not as hard as June was, but I mean, you look at this schedule and your eyes go immediately towards the Guardians, and it's felt like that. It was like that in 2021 when the White Sox were in contention and ultimately won the AL Central, but it's always Cleveland. So you look at the Guardians, and that series is huge. It's a 4-gamer, and you just hope the White Sox can take at least 2 or 4 there before the All-Star break, and if they can take 3 or 4 and be in the lead of the division, I mean, what a successful first half of the year. What a successful way to start off the second half of the year with the lead of the division. So a lot to look forward to over these next couple of weeks. Some big-time series coming up, and you just hope the White Sox can continue to play hard, and I think they will. I mean, we just made it through the ultimate test of the year that was June, playing the Braves, playing the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Guardians, all these top-tier teams, and you're able to make it through it, possibly being above 500 for the month of June. And so if the White Sox can continue to carry that into the second half of the season, I'd be happy. So that's going to close it out on this episode of the Chicago Toddcast. I appreciate you all listening. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time. See ya.